Welcome back to Waste Some Time with Jason Green. I am Jason Green. I feel like it's been a long time since we've all been together here. I don't know when the last live show was, but what matters is that I'm here now and that you're here now. And sorry, I'm just trying to get situated. As usual, I sort of forgot that I was doing this and fell out here, and here we are. I was a little bit under weather, so we missed a couple shows, and then with the new year, people were busy and all those kind of things. But we're back into the swing of things: tour diaries, guests, interviews, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people piling into the room here, and we'll see all of you in just a minute. And Johnny Monaco should be here soon as well. So we're going to really get into this Rock Island Fest. This was a big one. I'm going to tell you the good things about it. Maybe I'll tell you the bad things about it. I'm going to tell you who was nice. I'm going to tell you who was a jerk. I'm going to tell you that Johnny Monaco and I went hitchhiking, and we were picked up by a man with one leg and a golf cart. The golf cart broke down. We didn't return to our room until 4 a.m. That is what they call a tease in the industry. Sorry. All that and more after that. Just wanna waste some time with you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Nobody out there to waste time with that. All right. Hopefully I can speak better now. I tell you, as you get older, you start to make dumb things happen. I guess you do dumb things when you're young too. But yesterday I went to Walmart. That's not the dumb part. And when I was in the Walmart, I got my things together and I went to the self-checkout and I scanned all my items and a lot of cat food. I meticulously scanned and I left, which people do. The only thing is, as I was halfway home, I realized I did not pay. I believe that I have early onset dementia. It's self-diagnosed. I also believe that that my diabetes has something to do with it that is diagnosed. So sometimes my head is not that clear depending on what my blood sugar is, and I left the Walmart without paying. I called Johnny Monaco for his advice, which essentially was fuck Walmart. Good, you got them. But I thought he made the point that people steal TVs there every day. But I thought for sure they're going to go back and look at this video of me, and they are going to make a citizen's arrest the next time I come in, and I'm going to be 86 from Walmart, where my pharmacy is, and all those other things. So when I got home, I put down my things. I would say $50 worth of groceries, and then I went back to the Walmart to turn myself in. I attempted to call. I called about 400 times. The phones just ring and ring in all departments. And I remember thinking, if this is how thorough they are, if they can't even answer their phones, then there's a good chance they didn't catch me. But I still had to do my part and go back. So I did. And the lady was shocked that I was telling her my story. And they asked me what time it was of the alleged incident and which self-checkout I was at. And we went to, and then they went to the videotape, as they say. And they did find that I scanned everything meticulously, but that I did not pay. They said because they didn't catch it, and because I didn't have the items with me, they didn't know what to scan. And so they said, it's your lucky day. To which I thought I should have got more groceries today. But so so anyway, then the manager comes out and she says that they were all laughing at what a good Samaritan I am. Apparently, when people take things from Walmart without paying, they don't return to the scene of the crime, rat song, and own up to it. So anyway, for those of you who didn't already know, I am just an incredible citizen and Walmart shopper, and proud to be such a good Samaritan. And I was rewarded with $50 in free groceries. But the point is this: I am losing my mind. I am forgetting things. I don't know if I'm coming or going. And sometimes when you're losing your mind, you're not always alone. Oh, here he is, Johnny Monaco.
I told you not to go back.
You were right.
I don't think I said those words, F Walmart, but I'm pretty sure I said, this is what's going to happen. And what ended up happening?
You said worse words. we couldn't even say what you said.
Well, I haven't had a problem with Walmart yet. I have more of a problem with the people that could shop there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I see. Let's. So anyway, that was my day yesterday, and it was some people said you should go back and clear your record. I did talk to my attorney, who said it would be a simple misdemeanor. He said the worst is they can make you pay a fine, but how embarrassing would that be to have to pay a fine? The part that upset me the most was not like a conscience of any sort or caring about Walmart, a big corporation of scumbags, but it was that I'm losing my mind, and that slowly, at some point, I will not know where I am. Which is why, thank God, you're here to help me talk about our Key West.
It happens. You can accidentally. You're not losing your mind. You were busy. You were probably on the phone or something.
I was on the phone.
Okay. So it slips. Those losers steal TVs and walk out of there, and they just like walk out with their pants sagging and their hair, and they walk out and they let them go because you can't confront anybody anymore because they're so woke. Oh, he probably needs that 80-inch TV to put in his apartment. They find the biggest one and they steal it. They steal stuff all the time. I'm not saying they should do it. I think they should tackle them in the parking lot and drag them back in the store and pummel them with Zest soap. But they don't make Zest anymore. Irish Spring. No. Whatever you call it.
You like Irish Springs, though, I think.
I do like the Irish Spring. Coast is another good one. Do you remember Coast?
Sure.
I don't know if they make that anymore. All the stuff I like, they don't make anymore, like Quisp. Do you ever have Quisp cereal?
Sure, of course. Yeah, I remember Quisp.
And Impalas, 1972 Impalas.
I remember that.
But all the stuff I like, they don't make anymore. And evidently they're giving TVs away. But you go in there and explain that I accidentally stole some stuff. So what are we going to do about it? And they were just like, it's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went. So, Johnny, we have a lot of people here. We should see some of their comments, and then we'll get to the Key West stories. I've teased it a little bit. The stories, they're more ridiculous than what you could believe.
No, you have no idea.
Of all of our trips, I would say this was definitely the most insane. So, okay, let's just see. Let me put on my reading spectacles. By the way, Spectacle Eyewear, they sent me some new glasses. I'm not wearing them, but they're very nice, and I like them. My eyes need a minute to adjust to them. But and I also wore the Charles Nelson Riley tinted pair that he sent me as well, Spectacle Eyewear. So anyway, I recommend if you're looking for some glasses to check it out. Also, just a few more programming notes. Interviews coming up. Cherie Curry of the Runaways will be here, very legendary person. And so I'm looking forward to that. And a few others. I can't even remember who. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. Live next week on this channel, Mark Weiss will be here to reveal who is in that picture. There's this picture making the rounds all the internet. Some people think it's Brent Muscat or Kelly Nichols or Nasty Suicide or Johnny Monaco or Tracy Guns or Joan Jett. This is a picture that Mark Weiss took that has gone sort of viral.
No one thinks it's me. No one thinks it's me.
Well, it might. Anyway, so next week he will be here and he will reveal who it is. It's Tawny Katane and this artist that may or may not be Johnny Monaco. So he will be here next week to reveal it. Craig Gass will be here very soon as well. Very funny comedian. He does an impression of me and Johnny Monaco. And he'll be here to announce he has a world tour and he's playing arenas, which is wild. So anyway, he'll be here. Okay, let's see what everyone's up to. First one here tonight was Skylar, ready to waste some time with Jason and Johnny. Coors Lightly is breaking out the popcorn. Skylar also says that they can't wait to see where Johnny is banned from this week. So far, P.F. Chang's Guitar Center and Mattress Hall.
I am not. I banned myself. Don't let me walk in there.
Right. It's a self-imposed ban. Hello, Mark Sanchez. Hello, Brian Kirk. Larry, look at everybody who's here. CIA hole. Headspace. Nick. Joe watching from Seattle. I always like to see where people are watching from. Here is Southern drummer who is at Rock Island working, and so he'll be interested to share in some of our stories. So many nice people here. I had to ban some people, Johnny. There was a few people who were just too stupid. I don't want anybody's political views, or if you don't like masks, I don't give a fuck. I just ban you.
Oh, that? Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Bunch of geniuses.
The tour diaries that people are watching and loving, by the way, they're very popular, were filmed over a year ago, and most of them masks were required. And even if they weren't, everyone should be able to do what they want. I don't really care. It's not a political thing. So
they're molding it with their opinion of other things.
That's right. Jason Green Day is in August.
Ridiculous. Those idiots.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just silly, and there's no reason to argue. So we're going to try to keep this positive. That's why Johnny is here. Because we have to be. Donna says, I'm not hydrated enough or sleeping enough. Well, that might be true.
Your hair is so long. I didn't realize how long it is.
Yeah, we've got to do something about it, Johnny. It looks terrible.
I don't know, terrible. It just really got really long. It's like it used to be really long and witchy, and then I cut it all off, and everyone got all upset.
We need to do that.
It's very long. I just got some stuff done too. Jennifer Stallman, I needed some more movement around this area, so we did a little bit of that, chopped it up a little bit.
All right. Who was the bass player for Stephen Pearcy at Rock Island Fest? That was what's that guy's name? Troy.
The Big Johnson.
Big Johnson. Troy the Big Johnson. Yeah,
that's his nickname.
He played with Stephen for ages. He also played with Frank Hannon, and he's a talented guy. And he's been helping out in between shows. And
he also invented this huge, crazy-looking bass that he brings with to the gigs. It's an acoustic upright with like a stand, and it looks like something Spock would play. And he invents these, and he creates them, and they're like an upright, acoustic-y kind of bass. And it's called the Big Johnson, and you can look that up. It's Troy Johnson, Big Johnson basses from Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's here in Vegas at some convention showing off his Big Johnson. He brought his son with him. His son he was showing off his Big Johnson, which was a tattoo of his father playing the bass on his thigh.
Yeah, this far away from the other Johnson.
Yeah, it was interesting. And the little Johnson was at least a foot taller than the Big Johnson.
Oh, it's Adonis, this kid.
They could have been on the Celtics. I say the Celtics because they're white. But they.
Yeah, no, he is big. He's a big kid. Good looking kid. They had a fun time. Brought the family. The family was like a little vacation for them. They had a good time.
No music, no life enjoys the long hair. So there you go. And she was married to the dude from Airplane. That is true. Cherie Curry was married to Robert Hayes.
Oh, I thought they were talking about Miss Johnson.
No. Okay, so let's. I'm doing my best, but I think you guys want to hear about.
You're gonna have to go in order because there's so much.
Well, everyone's great. I appreciate everyone. I'm glad they're here, but we are also on a bit of a short schedule, and so one of the things that I wanted to mention before we jump ahead too far is. A lot of people have died, Johnny, since we've last been here. I know it's a crazy. Yeah, people are passing away left and right. I see someone mentioned David Crosby in the comments. And people, Johnny, I think when someone famous dies, you have to choose whether or not you're going to post about it, and you can't have them all. If 5 people die in a week, you do not get to put up 5 comments, and you shouldn't race. To be the first to say someone's dead. It's not because you're sad. It's because you're trying to break news. And
you're trying. Yeah, you're trying. You're doing it. It's not a selfless act. It's a selfish one.
Yes. When Jeff Beck died, I thought maybe I should go on live and put the title as Jeff Beck has passed away. A lot of uh, morbid curiosity seekers would have tuned in, and I would have got huge, huge numbers. But I thought better of it. Listen, I've seen Jeff Beck live many times. I met him, but I'm really not a fan. Not saying he's not talented. It just he wasn't my guy. And it's sad. But no reason for me to post about how great Jeff Beck was. That's for a much older person. After Jeff Beck, somebody else died. We should point out that Jeff Beck was 78 years old.
Yeah.
And shit happens, but people they try to turn it into conspiracies of the sort.
Oh, no, it was an odd way, too, that what he had. It's kind of odd. It's not like you don't normally get that.
We raced to Google to learn about the symptoms and make sure we didn't have it. We were convinced. Yeah, we were convinced for about an hour that we had it. So I can't remember what it's called. So many people, meningitis or something. I don't know.
Yeah, bacterial meningitis.
Yeah, so many people have died since. So Johnny, who died after that?
Marie Presley.
Oh, Robbie Knievel.
Oh yeah, Robbie Knievel. That's right, Robbie Knievel. Which again, shocker.
Guy made a living crashing into things and was a big alcoholic. Sadly, he had pancreatic cancer. His father also, his father had diseases from blood transfusions and things, being evil Knievel. And so then he died. And then how can we forget Lisa Marie Presley?
Yeah.
Very, very sad. Her son had committed suicide. She probably was not the same synth. And, being in that family, she was married to Nicolas Cage and Michael Jackson. Chances are she's a little batty herself.
I forgot about that. She was married to Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot about that.
The joke, Johnny Ramone introduced them, and the joke was that Nicolas Cage was the ultimate Elvis collector, that he ended up collecting his daughter. And no one has been allowed to go upstairs at Graceland to see the second floor where Elvis passed away. And supposedly Nicolas Cage is one of the only people because Lisa allowed him. I don't think their relationship lasted very long. But it's sad. But then you have these morons out there who say everything happens in threes. But everything could happen in any number, because when you get to a certain number, they just start to count again. So next, David Crosby dies. Now, I like Elvis, but I didn't feel like it was my place to say that Lisa Marie and Elvis are going to be together again and all that. It's sweet, but it's not for me. And Robbie Knievel, I didn't see the moment for me to. Now, if one of my heroes died, I would say something. David Crosby was one of the nastiest humans in the world. He was really, from all accounts, a horrible person. And I don't really give a fuck. That's my parents' generation. My mother liked that big fat David Crosby. I didn't give a fuck. And again, this guy was in his 80s. He was a massive alcoholic. He had a liver transplant or whatever. So although some people may say it's a conspiracy, it sounds like that fucker was old and unhealthy.
These people, they're only posting like you were saying. They got to let everyone know they want you to know. Everyone's posting. So why? I mean, I'm sure I'll see it. Why is it important that you be the one that tells me this? And I've got texts from people that I haven't talked to in years going, bummer. And they're telling me who died. Bummer, Jeff Beck's gone. Yeah. And if you say anything negative or bad or don't just then you sound real like, oh, you're a hateful person. You don't care. But it's not that. I wasn't thinking about these people right up till the point, and then in 2 weeks you won't after. They're doing it to virtue signal and to show that they're this great human individual that cares about people they don't know, like when they wish them happy birthday. And on top of that, it's like one after another. Like you're saying, if there's someone really that really bothers you that you're a big fan of or something like that, and maybe they are of those people, but it seems kind of weird that they'd be a fan of everybody that's dead. There's got to be someone you're not a fan of that died.
People make a good point here, Johnny, that David Crosby talked a lot of shit about Eddie Van Halen when he died.
Did he?
Yeah, he
Well,
said
what
that.
did what did he say?
He said something along the lines of that someone should probably say it, but that he wasn't a legend and that he wasn't that influential and it wasn't like that big a
Well,
deal. I
that's
might
just not
be,
true.
yeah. And maybe for David Crosby, who was an old fat fuck, maybe he didn't see Eddie Van Halen in that capacity, and that's fine. Maybe it wasn't meant for him. But David Crosby plays those, Four Dead in Ohio and Blowing in the Wind and I've Seen Fire and Rain, whatever those boring songs that he was known for. Eddie Van Halen was a whole different thing and influenced a lot of people.
Oh
Obviously.
yeah, I was just
It-
figuring one out today.
yeah. Now Eddie Van Halen may be worth a post if that was one of your people. You know what I'm saying? But so I get concerned that everyone has to talk about everyone who's died. And like you said, they make it about them. They don't really care that they died. And sometimes, Lisa Marie Presley. Did anyone in these comments buy one of her records? No, we liked her because she was Elvis's daughter, and we wanted her, to do well. And so
I haven't thought of it in a while. I did 10 feet. That's what I'm concerned with. And like someone right here is even saying, "Come on, he was a badass. No one played like that guy. Give it up."
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't for me. I thought he was great. I learned "So We Ended as Lovers" when I first started playing guitar. And, there's a certain sound that he gets because he plays with the whammy a lot in his thumb. And I'm not taking anything away from it. That's not the point. I mean, the point is that when they have to tell you, they got to post about it. They got to text people that they haven't texted in years to let them know that I heard it from them. I don't understand. I don't get that. It's weird, right?
he was fantastic in Spinal Tap, right? That's him. He was the guitar player in Spinal Tap.
I mean, yeah, and I get it. It wasn't really for me. I didn't think, it was, he was in bands earlier on that didn't have, like, they had a hit here and there, and then he kind of took a break, then came back, then played again. And it's more instrumental music and more guitar driven stuff. So it wasn't like, a guitar player who the world knew as big as like others. But obviously it's, you don't want someone to see somebody die or anything to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised, how shocked can you be when they're up at that age and something happens? It's like, this one's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Do that. Or they go, I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words. Like someone in their family died.
Right.
It's a little dramatic. So,
yeah, I agree. He was just on tour with Johnny Depp. That was how he went out. I saw him live with Brian Wilson. I've seen him a few times, and but I had nothing to comment. I didn't have anything to share. A lot of these people I've met, and sometimes I have a picture, and sometimes I share it as a clickbait kind of thing. Look at me and somebody much more famous. Occasionally, I will do that, but in this case, listen. Rest in peace to these people. It's sad. Death sucks.
They do that too. They post the picture that the one time they met them. And sometimes they'll even say friends. Just me and my friend, Eddie Van Halen, hanging out.
Yeah.
And again, you're posting
more of a moment.
I mean, if you're really sad about it, you wouldn't be able to tell anybody. But they go around telling everybody, and then they post a picture to show that they knew, somehow met this person or knew them. It's more about them.
If somebody really cool dies, and I think I can get some hits out of it, I may do that. So just don't tell me that for the audience watching, don't think I'm a phony. I will probably do that at some point.
Well, but, also you're doing it for the show. These people are just putting it in their feed.
Yeah, but now everybody has a show, Johnny. I'm learning. Even if they don't actually physically go on the internet, everyone believes that they are an influencer and they're addressing someone.
Yeah.
Social media has now given everybody the soapbox. Yeah, everyone
platform.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll tell you, and that's what also everyone is a doctor now, and it's really a bunch of bullshit. People are out of their fucking minds.
Bunch of bullshit. It is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, and so everybody, you like the point being, you've got to choose. I was going to tell a story real quick before we get to Rock Island. It was Michelle's birthday, and we were at this place called the Rio. Not Rio, the hotel called the Rio. And they were doing a show there called Raiding the Rock Vault. And the guys from the Rock Vault come out, and they were doing a meet and greet, Johnny. And it was interesting because some of my friends were there. Jizzy Pearl was there. and Blas Elias, who a drummer for Slaughter,
Mhm.
and a great guy. And they were both in the Sin City Sinners. And then Rowan Robertson of Dio was there, and
Mhm.
they were also in the Sin City Sinners, all three of them at the same time. And then a guy named Todd Kearns was there, and he
Mhm.
was also in the Sin City Sinners.
Mhm.
We did not speak. We was very busy, and we did not have the time
Mm.
to
That's too
exchange
bad.
pleasantries. Yeah,
That's a shame. That's a
maybe
shame.
next time. But I did catch up with the other guys. Michael T. Ross was there, Johnny,
Okay. He
and
was
we
here. He was
talked
here
about
once.
him being at Scotty's wedding, and he flexed on somebody, but
Mm.
Johnny, he was very polite. I like people who are cordially fake, if or whatever. Maybe he's not fake. Maybe he's just he's got a sense of humor. Who
Well, then how
knows?
come you didn't recognize us when we were at Spawn Ranch?
Well, when we were at the Spawn Ranch, which is where he lives, we were walking around, and he was in the door. Maybe he didn't see us. I know it seems ridiculous.
Listen, when we walk in anywhere, it's Rocky and Bullwinkle. They know
True.
what they're getting.
Yeah.
You can't hide this.
Johnny, show us your cock on that shirt you have there.
All right.
This is the greatest thing you got in Key West.
Yeah.
Besides maybe that disease.
Because they're everywhere. I haven't seen that much cock since college, but
Yeah.
it's everywhere. And I was walking past, and I was thinking about getting a shirt because I only brought one. And then I seen it, and it was like it just called me. There was like a ray of a beam on it.
The cock called you.
Well, yeah, I was cock called, and it was hanging up right on the end, and it said. And the thing that drew me to it even more so is right above it. There was a huge sign that said $3.99. It said almost free. How could you pass that up? So I bought two.
Yeah, you got double the cost.
Someone thought I worked there, and guy walked by. He goes, she goes, "Excuse me." I'm looking at it. I'm doing this. He goes, "Excuse me." Like, yeah. He goes, what size? What's the largest size for men's? And she's with this animal, and I go, for him. She's like, "Yeah." You're gonna dress this? Said, yeah. It's like looking at me, and no socks on. And I said, we have 5X. She goes, that's not gonna be enough. Thanks. And she walked away. And think, does I get work here?
We took off for Key West on a red-eye flight. We left on a Thursday night. Only way to do it. We got in early Friday morning. Everyone retreated to their slumber at a very beautiful DoubleTree hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I introduced Johnny to the hot cookies that they have at the DoubleTree, and we all probably had too many. There may or may not have been cockroaches in Johnny's room.
Yeah, I was going to eat that cookie, except it was dragged away by a cockroach the size of an iPhone.
Mm-hmm. And
terrible, unbelievable. I
did not have any. I decided that I wanted to hit the town in Key West and see the sights. So I got an Uber and I went over to the Ernest Hemingway house. It was really interesting. They filmed scenes from the movie The Living License to Kill with Timothy Dalton, James Bond movie. They filmed some scenes there. I went and filmed and I'll show that on a future episode of the show. And Hemingway is known for having these polycats. And polycats are cats that have 6 toes. I had a cat who had 6 toes as well. Yeah, and it was pretty cool. And they have giant paws, obviously. I feel like they should call them 24 toes because they have 6 on every one of their paws. And supposedly, they bred these cats that way because they were very good at catching mice. I guess the extra toe makes it so sailors would have them on boats. And obviously, Key West is off the sailing port. So they keep breeding the cats. Not all of them will end up as a polycat, but they do have the gene. So they have 57 cats walking around on the property.
Oh my God!
Cats could care less about the people. They come and go. It's very nice. At night, they lock them up in there. They have a private veterinarian that comes to visit them. There's also a cemetery there if the cat should pass. And I'm not a giant Hemingway fan, but I wanted to see a little history, and I wanted to see some cats. There was roosters everywhere outside.
Oh boy!
Yeah, everywhere. For those of you who have not been to Key West, when you walk through the streets, roosters and chickens, I suppose, randomly walk around with you. There's a $500 fine if you harm them. which I think is a good thing. Let them be. And then there's also a lot of iguanas everywhere, and they are frightening as well. So the few things that I wanted to do on this trip before I left, I made a checklist. I wanted to have key lime pie, which is the national food of Key West. I wanted to have a thing called conch fritters. And I wanted to visit the Hemingway house. I wanted to climb a lighthouse, and I wanted to visit Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll is the most cursed doll allegedly in history. So that's a little tease of some of the things you're going to find out if we got to it. So everyone was sleeping. Johnny stayed in. I went to the Hemingway house myself. Johnny's allergic to cats, although the house was very ventilated. Most of the cats were outside.
I couldn't wake up.
Everyone was exhausted. It's a miracle that I was able to go. So I went there and I walked around, and then I went across the street to this lighthouse that I think Hemingway loved or whatever. He said it was there so he could find his way home or something like that. He liked to drink. Anyway, they said it was 88 steps. I said, how bad could that be? I nearly died going up the steps. It was very difficult, but a beautiful view. You'll see that in the tour diary. At that point, they say that the sunset, you want to see the sunset from Key West. So I said, I'm going to go find a spot. I walked to the southernmost tip of Florida, which is also the southernmost tip in the continental United States. Hawaii is a little further south, but it's not attached to the continental United States. So anyway, I got to see that and there. Oh, did we get a super chat? Oh, hold on a second. Joe Seattle, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. We haven't eaten today, and we haven't eaten in weeks. So Johnny's got some nuts there or something.
There's caramel corn from the airport.
Oh, nice.
It was a consolation gift to myself.
Hemingway, great figure in our history and has ties to Cuba as well. So from the spot that I was at, Cuba was just 90 miles away. It's pretty crazy to think that you were that close.
Yeah.
So anyway,
close. Yeah.
True. Johnny and I attempted to visit Cuba, and someone explained to us why we may not be able to that night. We'll get to that story. Believe me, I'm just beating around the bush here.
Oh boy,
the story's about to get way crazier. Anyway, so and then next to the water, they have these rocks with these giant iguanas that look like sea creatures sitting there. Anyway, so I was lost and I was walking around. I felt very safe. I at no point did I not feel safe. I was born in the Bronx. There was nothing in Key West that alarmed me, except maybe these big iguanas. And so this woman I stopped a woman on a bicycle and I asked her if she knew how I could get to a touristy place to see the sun set. She told me a direction. I walked in it. I was on these little streets with these roosters. And next thing I know, I was at the amphitheater where the Rock Island Fest was taking place. So I said, well, let me go in here now and get my credentials. At that point, Johnny texted me and said that he is downtown and that we'll meet. And so we both walked and we met at the, where do we meet? The theater?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's an amphitheater. And when I first got there, first person I saw was Mark Weiss. And he showed me who to go to talk to get the credentials. They do a new thing that you wear a bracelet and you tap your credential. The first time I've ever seen
it was good.
At a concert. Smart. It's like a Disney thing. You tap it in to get in everywhere. You want to go backstage? You want to go to catering? You want to go to the diamond drinking thing where Johnny spent most of his time? You have to tap. So we got our credentials, and Johnny. And then when I went in, I was waiting for Johnny. I ran into our good friends in Stryper, and it was a good backstage area. It was very controlled. There was really no one hanging out. Sometimes you go to these things, especially with 4 bands. There's a lot of hanger-ons. Styx was the headliner that night. They barricaded themselves in their road cases and would not. So you never got to see them. So I went and talked to the guys from Stryper, and we had a nice talk. It's always good to see them. It was the first time I'd seen them since the Christmas party that you and I attended. A few months earlier, you were singing Jingle Bells with the Sweets, and Lisa Sweet Michael's wife was there. Actually, all the wives were there. Robert Sweet's wife's name is Starry, I believe. Is that right?
I think so.
Star. I hope I'm saying it right. I feel bad if I'm wrong. I think Star. And of course Annie, Oz's wife, who I've known for quite some time.
Well, her actual name is Victoria.
I think, yeah, but I think they call her Star.
Well, I wouldn't know that.
If I'm wrong, Striper fans.
Oh yeah, no, it's right here. It's Starry, Starri, Starry Victoria Suite. I need a name like that.
Did you know that Sierra Mist went out of business and now it's called Starry?
That's not true.
No, it's true. They got rid of Sierra Mist. It wasn't doing well against Sprite. They've created a new thing called Starry, but it looks terrible. It's Starry.
Sierra Mist tastes like brioche.
All right. So anyway, so I had a nice time hanging out with them. And then you got there and we went and talked to the boys. Actually, no, I think they were already on stage when you arrived.
Yeah. So I got a wave and a shout out.
Yeah. And so then Johnny and I went into the crowd with the real people because that's how we are.
Yep, that's right. Real people.
We bonded and we watched Striper's show. It was enjoyable. And then we went back after Striper. There was a band called Extreme. Mm-hmm. And they played. And they were backstage. They did not say hello to us. Sometimes when you're in these backstage situations, there's only a few people. It's best to just say hello to everybody. Hey, just in case. I say hello to people randomly just because I think they're looking at me and I don't want to be rude.
What about when they actually near you and they look over you, like you're not even there?
That would be Queensryche. And we'll get to those guys. They stare right over you. They have no interest in anything.
Nuno Betancourt kind of did that too, and he was on his way out of the porta potty.
Yeah, well, he did a meet and greet.
I wanted to rush in there immediately just to get a whiff,
Yes, well,
because I wanted everybody to know we're all human. Everybody
yes,
knows.
Well, he was in there for a while, but I wasn't going to shake his hand. I'll tell you that much.
He did. He came right out and started shaking everyone's hand. Not mine.
Steven told me that was the nicest porta potty he'd ever seen. Did you go in there?
I do not go in those.
You don't go into restrooms in general. I've on all the plane flights we've been on, you've never gone into a restroom.
Sometimes I will. I mean, if I need to like vape or clean my child, I will go.
Somebody vaped on the plane. They announced that it was a federal offense and then laughed.
Yeah, those idiots. I'm telling you, it's like Walmart up there. Oh, that lady. I wrote them a letter. I'm waiting to hear back. That might be another thing I'm banned from, Delta Airlines. Johnny
had a run-in with a woman.
She was a bully. A bully me, bossing me around. Stonewalling me, just staring at me, repeating the same thing over and over again.
Well, we'll get to that, Johnny. Let's not run ahead. We're telling a linear story. So then we watched a little bit of Extreme. I don't know. Sometimes I see the bands from my youth, and I rather just listen to them on the record. Or
I don't like it.
Be over. But anyway, they played. It wasn't my favorite. And then after them, we left. Next would have been Styx. We split. Johnny and I.
Good. They're great.
Yeah, and we both have seen them before, and the venue, it was good, but the spot that they had for the very important poser people was a little goofy. They put these spots at the side of the stage where you can't see anything. And anyway, Johnny and I wanted to explore Key West. We had much more important things to do. So Michael Sweet wanted us to come with him to the VIP Diamond area where Johnny had a few more drinks. I'd say you were intoxicated at that point. Mm-hmm. And then we decided to try to find Duval Street, which is basically the big avenue. That's where everybody likes to hang out. And it's quite the scene. It's like New Orleans or something.
It's got a New Orleans vibe. French Quarter.
Clubs and so Johnny wanted to find a T-shirt. He was very upset that he didn't buy it earlier, and he wanted to find a store where they sold T-shirts. Johnny, what was the shirt you were looking for?
Well, I got this one. Oh, did I get? No. I had this one already.
Right.
And I went back because I saw another one that caught my eye.
And we had to go find it. What was the name of what was the shirt?
I Heart MILFs.
I Heart MILFs. So we went down to Wall Street until we found the I Heart MILFs store. And when we went in, the woman explained to us that the shirts are pressed on the spot. They don't actually exist. They put the letters on it, and then they set the temperature for 400 degrees, and then they press.
Mm-hmm.
The woman told us the shirt would be $35, to which we laughed, and we were going to leave. We were filming this, and it'll be on a tour diary. And she then said, "Hey, how about 30? How about 25?" Finally, she hit $20, and we decided that we would have the Johnny would have the MILF shirt. She was looking at the different sizes with Johnny, and she told Johnny, "Do you like it tight?" And I said, "Well, he's into MILF, so apparently not." She didn't seem to mind, but I felt like what I said when we left, Johnny. I'm surprised we didn't win the contest for first customer. I'm surprised streamers didn't come down, because it looks like no one's been in this place. And every block has 10 of these places that sell MILF memorabilia. So Johnny got his shirt. We were walking around. There is a shuttle that goes back to the hotel at 11:20. I wish we would have took that the second night. But the first night, we decided we would go eat at a place called what's the thing's name in South Park?
Pinchers.
Pinchers, yeah. We went Simpsons. We went to Pinchers.
Oh, Pinchy. Oh, Pinchy.
And we ate upstairs, beautiful, overlooking the city, and we had conch fritters for the first time ever. Yeah. Johnny wasn't crazy about it. The waitress hated it. She said she at all costs don't order it. I liked it. I finished it. Johnny maybe had one. I had the rest.
It was too much of breading.
They were probably fried too much. Johnny's right. I heard that the ones on the beach, it's like a hush puppy, but they this one was deep fried. Mm-hmm. You barely taste the conch or
the conch. You barely taste the conch.
Mm-hmm. You barely taste it. She said the conch was too squishy. I didn't even notice there's all kinds of other shit wrapped around it. We then had, what did we have? Crab cakes with shrimp on top?
They were shrimps, raw shrimps, but they were on top of like a bedding of some kind of I think
it was crab cakes.
Okay.
And we had that, and we each had clam chowder. We didn't have the conch chowder. We had the clam chowder.
Yeah, the clam chowder was pretty good. I mean,
it was good. Yeah,
it was all okay.
Before we had that, though, we went to a place called Blue Heaven. It's one of the most famous places in Key West. The problem was the kitchen was closed when we got there.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we sat down and we had a slice of key lime pie. We had our dessert before we had our dinner. It was gigantic. And as you watching probably know, key lime pie should never be green. If it's green, it is not authentic.
Yeah.
So we had it, and it was good. I mean, look, I don't know. It didn't taste that amazing. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, it didn't taste like I thought it was going to taste like.
We didn't. Yeah, same here. There's a lot of this meringue, and it's a different color. And I mean, it was good. It was good. I don't know. We shared it with 2 spoons, like a couple of fruit guys.
Yeah, everybody. They thought we were on a date.
Yeah, it's an open-minded place, though, and it did seem like some of the areas we walked in may have been bi-coastal. Oh. So we took the shuttle bus. We made it at 11:20, the last bus back to the DoubleTree. Okay, and it was like a swinger bus, party bus. Everyone on the bus was crazy and
laughing at their own jokes. Yes,
a lot of laughing at their own jokes. They were trying to get Johnny and I to go back to the pool with them for a party, and it was ridiculous. But that's also going to be seen in the tour diary. Next morning, it was show day for the Stephen Piercy band, and you guys stayed in. I chose to go visit something called Robert the Doll. And Robert the Doll, as I said, is the most cursed doll in history. All these movies like Chucky are allegedly based off of Robert the Doll. A guy named Robert Eugene Otto. He was the original owner, at least the one that everyone knows, of Robert the Doll. a woman gave him to him. She may have been involved in voodoo or something. You'll forgive me if I'm not telling the story exact. And he had this doll. He named it Robert, and he put it in a sailor's costume. And Robert also has a little puppy or something, another stuffed animal that he holds. Anyway, he was in an attic, and strange things happened, giggling, and the thing would move around. And then it was in a window for a long time. And what would happen is people who took pictures without asking permission, some of them may have had some really bad luck. I posted on my Facebook about this, and 2 people did write and say that their life was pretty much ruined after not asking permission. I won't tell their exact stories, but so the rule to visiting Robert the doll is to be polite and to ask before you take a picture. That should be common sense when you meet anyone.
I think that's what it's like when you meet Sebastian Bach.
That's exactly right. Who maybe we'll see later tonight. So the Robert, they moved him out of this place. The coming-ons were too ridiculous. The things that were happening, they couldn't take it anymore. They put him in a fort called the East Martello Fort. It was 1 mile from our hotel, and it was a beautiful walk along the beach. I got myself a big hat because I am recovering from skin cancer and did not want to have any sun on me at all. And so I took the walk, I filmed it, and you say film, there's no film anymore. I recorded whatever. I got to the fort, and it was interesting. There were a lot of roosters outside there too. It's right next to the airport. Where else would you want to have something that is allegedly cursed? The woman inside explained to me about, she said, "Do you know about Robert the doll?" I did. She told me the rest of the fort. This is an old war fort, and it's a creepy building. I went in and I looked around, and there weren't many other people in there. It was very spooky. I did see Robert the doll. I approached. I filmed myself asking for permission. I did not point the camera at him until I believed that he was okay with it. I sometimes think, let's just say this thing really is cursed. I sometimes think that maybe it would like to be visited by somebody who's polite and and had good intentions. Maybe he liked the company. So I feel that way about cemeteries as well. So I did not feel threatened in any way. I didn't mean any harm. I did suggest to Robert that I would like to show him to my viewers. I said most of them are very nice, but if you'd like to curse some of the assholes, that would be okay as well. So for those of you watching, if you watch the tour diary, some of you may not make it. So at that point, I turned the camera around. I filmed Robert the doll, and I spent some time with him. And he is locked in a case, and it says it's for his safety. I did not notice any odd occurrences other than a grown man talking to a doll in a case. So you will choose if you want to watch this on the upcoming tour diaries. I think I was a little cursed, not completely cursed because I did it right, but what would happen to Johnny and I that night could only be the work of evil. So anyway, I walked around, and you go to the top of this fort. That was even scarier, by the way. The walk to the top you're in this abandoned old thing. It was scary, and then when you come out, there's these iguanas everywhere. That was also scary to me. Big giant iguanas. So that was that experience. I got back in time for us to go to sound check. We all went over to the venue. It was very hot out. We saw the guys in Autograph. I'm very skeptical of bands like Autograph that have no original members. Johnny had a nice talk with Simon. I think maybe we should have him on the show to tell his side of what's going on in the interest of equal time. So Steve Unger was there, Jimmy Bell. I don't know the drummer, and then Simon. And so we chatted with those guys. You guys sound check. Johnny decided to stay at the venue. He brought everything he owns with him to the venue. He packed as if he was going. But we were considering that we were going to stay. Some people don't. It was 2 hours. Johnny decided he'd stay there. It started to rain though when he was there, right, Johnny?
Yeah. No microburst.
Yeah, and so I went to lunch with Scott Coogan, the Coogie Monster. Back at the hotel, we had a nice lunch. I had a caprese salad and some kind of shrimp thing, and it was very nice. And then it was time for the show. It's very early. We had to leave 6 o'clock or so to get there. Autograph was playing. Steven went on. I think you guys had a great show. I will be honest. I think it was one of the better shows that I've seen of the band in a long time. It's funny, too, because you could have been rusty. It's been a minute. It was all hits, all Rat hits. No bullshit, no filler, nothing. Here's a new one. None of that. Hits. And I think the audience enjoyed it. And we had a nice big stage. Steven cleared the monitor. Everything was good. And I think people had a really good time. Steven was having trouble getting his jacket off. Usually Christy is there to do this, but he comes to me to take his jacket off, and I thought I was going to dislocate his shoulders. He's a very small man. And I'm pulling, and I can't get it. And then Eddie Trunk was there filming. Eddie Trunk did it, though. Eddie Trunk got it all. He's a big beastly man. Eddie Trunk is a huge guy, and he wrestled it right off. He wrestled it right off Steven, and it was fun. And by the way, I like Eddie Trunk. We had a good time, and we're going to see Eddie Trunk in a few hours too tonight. I know you're excited. Johnny and I are going to go out on the town.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Against our better judgment. Anyway, and so it was a good show. We stuck around and we watched. What was that band? They were boring, right? Oh, Queensryche.
Oh, yeah.
Queensryche.
I mean, I like Queensryche songs. I grew up listening to that whole thing, and it's just, and they did a lot of deep cuts. Like they came out with deep cuts, and they played a couple of the big ones that we like, But it's just different. I don't know. It used to be more theatrical, I guess. There's something about Jeff Tate's voice. But this guy's hitting the notes. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes Jeff Tate lately, he's maybe not hitting every single high note. And they're so used to hearing them because they're so important to the song. So this guy is hitting them, but it's not about how you hit the note or if you can. It's tone. And I keep saying that over and over again. You could sing the song right, exactly right, and it maybe just doesn't have its something missing, right? It's the tone of that person's voice. That's it. It's all about the tone.
Yes, I was bored as fuck. I'm not gonna pussyfoot about it. There was some okay songs. I don't know. It was boring, and they're boring people too. They were
No one said hi to us.
They were in the same hotel as us. They looked at us like we were the scum underneath their shoes.
Or someone plugging in a guitar.
Yeah. And then backstage, they would just, at one point, Johnny and I were at a table, and Michael Wilton and whoever his guest was were at the same table. Never once did they say hi or how are you.
No, they didn't even get that. There was no acknowledgement of you're in my 5 foot sit. I mean, it was Stonewall.
Yeah.
It was sort of like when you go to walk down Hollywood Boulevard and the Scientologists are walking to the Scientology building.
Mm-hmm.
They do that.
No, I understand. Yeah, they had no interest in us, and the feeling was mutual. Although a friend of mine texts for them is very nice, and look, they do have some good songs. There's 2 members left: Eddie Jackson and Michael Wilton.
It's that Jeff Tate, man. I'm telling you,
they've got to work. They've got to work it out.
That guy, man. I mean, he can still. It's just something about his voice and his presence and being in the moment and connecting with the crowd. There's a lot of that going on. That's why Barry Manilow is so great.
I love Barry Manilow. We should see him tonight at the Westgate, the Elvis Room.
Really?
I think this Queensryche, it is what it is, but as they say. So then the next band was
stupid.
Oh, Tesla was the headliner. In my world, if you're doing these hair metal festivals, I know that's not the best term, but if you're playing these fun 80s bands, Queensryche doesn't really fit. They would be better on a prog show with Dream Theater or maybe a little heavier band.
Right.
It sandwiched between Rat and Tesla, which are mostly fun party songs.
Yeah.
It felt like a buzzkill. The crowd was not as excited. Steven, they knew every song. Really.
That was a good one. Yeah, they were cheering and, everybody was really into it.
They had beach balls going and everyone was having a party. And then Queensryche came in and the party the party was over. And then Tesla came on. I think it was kind of back. They opened with Modern Day Cowboy.
Yeah.
And it came out swinging. They brought a semi truck with all kinds of bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And I like Tesla. I'm a fan. We didn't watch the entire set. They have a residency here in Vegas. Brian Wheat is going to come on the show and talk. Also, we met Steve Brown, which is Mick Brown's brother. George Lynch jokingly calls him Mild Steve Brown. We'll see George Lynch tonight as well. He's the drummer right now for Tesla. And we met Dave Rude, who I've known before because he played the center. So it was nice to see those guys. We got out of there because we wanted to make it to the shuttle on time. But all of a sudden, we didn't think we'd make it that far. We saw a golf cart. We saw a bunch of cars sitting around. And someone kind of made some noise, as people do when they see me and Johnny. And we kind of somehow, they were nice enough, we hitchhiked, to drive us to, and Johnny was very persuasive with them, to take us to where our bus is. So we got to where the bus would pick us up.
Well, first we thought they were going to drive us just to the end of the parking lot so we can continue to walk 2 or 3 blocks to our destination, which is right off of this Duval Street, which is swamped with people, and it's a real busy place. And they're like, where are you going? And we're like, well, we're going to get on our bus. He goes, I'll just take you there.
Yeah. And it was nice of them. So the golf cart took us there, and then they left, and me and Johnny were watching tribute bands, much like Vegas, playing Bon Jovi. And then all of a sudden, Johnny started to panic that maybe he didn't have his cell phone.
I was a little drunk.
He was a little drunk. He had his suitcase, because I was carrying it at that point, that had everything he owns in it. And he was carrying his guitar. I took the bag as a wheeled. But he did not have his cell phone. So Johnny just ran up the blocks looking for his phone. At that point, the golf cart, came back and gave me his phone. I was trying to hide it before Johnny would have saw it.
Yeah.
I did stick it in my pocket. I told Johnny that the good news is they found your phone. The bad news was run over by a truck. But he wasn't buying it. And so nothing scarier than feeling like you lost your cell phone.
How do you lose a phone in a golf cart? The seat's this big. We're hanging out for dear life and everything. I thought it might have fell out.
Yeah, that was right. That was the thing. It must have fallen out.
Oh my God, it's never going to happen again.
So this gentleman saved the day. They returned Johnny's cell phone. Could you imagine what they would have found had they opened your phone, Johnny? I mean, it's crazy. They would have said, "How does any man date a girl with this many parrots?" They would have been so puzzled.
No, so yeah, they brought it back, and then what happened? Do you remember what happened after that?
After they brought it back, we saw the bus, and it was a very long line of people. But then we saw one of the guys from Queensryche. I think it was not Rockenfield, and they said they were going to this exclusive after party. And we said, well, let's follow them. And we did. We followed them, this group.
They didn't know we were following them.
No. Well, we've been stalking for years.
We held back, and we followed them like in the streets of San Francisco.
Yes, or Joe Mannix.
Our coach.
So we got to a venue called the Stinky Tuna or something like that. I don't know.
I don't think that was the name of it, but it was something to do with a tuna.
Okay, well, wherever it was, we walk in, and there on stage is Trickster with their new lead singer, Eric Martin. I don't know. It was bizarre. And Eric Martin was singing Alive and Kicking. That was the song when we walked in. I like Eric Martin. I don't like him anymore. But I liked him up until that night. I like his voice. I've had him come to Vegas and play with Sin City Sinners a few times. And he was supposed to be on the show. And he talked to me on the phone for 2 hours. He couldn't figure out how to connect. And then he was on the phone for 2 hours. And then I think he realized that I was going to ask real questions, and he disappeared. He tries to make fun of people. He thinks he's Don Rickles. He could not be any less funny. There's nothing funny about this guy. But he made some joke about me dyeing my hair. This was on the phone when we were doing the interview. And I'm thinking, boy, I guess Eric Martin is suddenly a Fabio, So but anyway, I liked the guy and I thought we'd be fine. But when he got a look at Johnny Monaco, things changed. He got that look in his eye. And he said, oh, well, the Trickster guys recognized Johnny. And they told me he's here. And what did Eric Martin say?
Hey, John, you want to get up here and tune my guitars for me? You want to be?
Yeah.
Called me something about implying that it's beneath that I should come up and tune his guitars. And then he called me a wannabe. That he said something about there's going to be a party. I'm going to stand on a table and take my shirt off, which could possibly happen. But I've known Eric Martin for 25 years, maybe longer. We've toured with them. I went on tour with Mr. Big as a guitar tech. So maybe he was like implying that. When I was at GIT and Paul Gilbert was teaching, they needed someone at the last minute. He's like, you want to go on tour? I'm like, I guess. Can you tune a guitar? So I had to go on tour with them and all these basses. Billy Sheehan, it's got like all these basses and tuned to different pitches. And they brought a juicer out. I used to have to set the juicer out and clean it. It was very hard work. I mean, it was a huge rider truck. I had to unload it and load it every night. It was exhausting. Well worth. I mean, they paid me really good, but it was really hard. It was the first time I was ever on a tour bus. So I did that with them. And then later on, Enough's Enough, as a 3-piece, went on tour and with Eric Martin's band. And he thought Donnie was going to be there because Donnie was supposed to be there. And a day before, Donnie's like, I'm not going. And Chip's like, well, do you want to go? And how about you sing? And I'm like, me? I don't even know the words to half the songs. He goes, well, we can cancel or you can learn all the words on the way there. It's in San Antonio. You'll have like 2 days. I'm like, all right. So we did that. I learned all the lyrics on the way there. We got there. We played as a 3-piece. And Eric Martin said it sounded so good that we could open or we could headline or we could flip-flop. And at first he was kind of taken back. He's like, what do you mean? Where's Donnie? You're going to sing? Blah, blah. And then after, we got it going. That was the first time. That was the first show ever as a 3-piece when I started singing in the band. And then we did that whole tour. I don't know. It was a long one. And I've seen him over the years after that at shows, Farm Rock and stuff. So I was a little taken back. I thought maybe he was joking. And so I said to those guys, I'm like, being a little salty with me. And they said, what, you'd ever met Mr. Big before? So maybe,
maybe he was being salty or funny the first time, but he then bashed you 2 or 3 more times. And then we found out that he really did need you to tune his guitar. That part wasn't a joke.
I'm up there trying to go through my stuff to find a tuner. I got my underwear out and my socks, and everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. And
fortunately, I recorded it. Yeah, I recorded that.
And I did. I went up there with the tuner, like, all right, I'll do it. Much like when I had to iron someone's shirt. So it's like I was going to do it, and then the guy's like, PJ, who's very nice.
Yeah.
He's like, he doesn't need a tune. You could tune it and give it right back to him. It'll still be on. So I thought he was maybe joking or if he's serious. It was very strange.
I should point out that for a guy who was making fun of people, he was wearing a 5-finger Death Punch shirt.
You think he knows 3 of those songs?
No. This idiot didn't know 5-finger Death Punch. And I don't know. But so he insults his band. He insults the audience. He insults you. Insults me. Later, he called me Johnny Monaco's father. I'm half Johnny's age. It's ridiculous. But not that that's an insult. I mean, Johnny's a handsome man.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was rude, and I was prepared for it. And I kind of put him in his place, and he calls himself the artist. He said it a bunch of times. Also, when people would request a song, he would very rudely tell them no, and tell them nobody wants to hear that or whatever, or that sad song. And then he would play, Wild World by Cat Stevens.
I'll tell you what, beyond all that, though, his voice is just so good and so distinct that when
can't take that away.
You put that voice with that face, it's just like it's like entity,
They should get a Hannibal Lecter mask for him, and only let him when they take it off, he can sing, and then put it back on him. Nothing else he says or does has any value. But
really great voice. Great voice. Great voice. It's so specifically him,
And he sounded great. And listen, he was going to come on the show. I didn't want to say that he was a jerk, but he really was a jerk. I feel like he owes us all an apology. Maybe that's just what he thinks he's funny. He's very uncomfortable.
I think it's that. Because afterwards, he did say something nice to me. Remember? We were talking a little bit. He said something.
Goodbye?
he said, you know, when we toured, you sang so good, and you had a little bit of Costello in there, and oh, it was really good. So he did say something nice.
Yeah, and then he said, "What are you doing here?" He thought you were working on a conch boat,
right.
and you said you're playing with Stephen Pearcy. To which he said, "I'm sorry."
Like it was a step down. He said it was
Like it was a big step down,
yeah,
and
that's what he said.
and that's lame too, because they were both on Atlantic Records. One of them was a lot more successful than the other one.
Maybe that's just his personality or something. I forgot. I didn't notice him to be like that before. I don't know.
Listen, he was maybe he was funny. I didn't.
Maybe it wasn't funny.
It's a shame to me because I do like the guy. I like his music at least. I like his voice.
He could sing so good. I love
On his way out, I told him, "Hey, before you go, why don't you tell us who the new drummer for Mr. Big is?" And he looked very insulted, and he touched a tree and did a dance. I'm not sure what it meant. And then I said, "I know, it's Bobby Blotzer." To which he made some other rude gesture. Who knows? Maybe it is. But so anyway, he's talented. It was weird though. He sings Trickster songs. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Or PJ sings a couple, Steve sings a couple, and Eric Martin is a backup singer for Trickster. I don't know. They're nice guys, and the Trickster guys said they would come on the show. Maybe not after what I say about Mr. Big, but they would set the record straight about their drummer Mark Scott Gus, who came on here. They were very angry, and they said we can quote them. And Eric told me something that we can quote him on too. Remember that? I don't remember what it was, but he kept saying, "You can quote me on that."
I don't remember.
Okay, so I hate to bring the room down. Some people are depressed, and it sucks sometimes when you meet the people you like.
Well, we're not bashing anybody. We're literally explaining what happened.
Yeah,
we're not making it up or saying, that's what happens with us. We're in the moment and we hear everything. We take it in and we talk. They do what they're going to do. Then we go talk about it. I get in trouble for that all the time. They call that talking shit. But the reality is I didn't say anything at the time. I didn't argue back or fight them back because I was more taken back by it. But I was there. I heard what happened. I'm looking at the thing. And now I'm telling people this is what happened. And not because they asked, but because it's part of our story of what we just did in Florida. So it's all above board. So shut up.
Yeah, 250 people watching with us right now, sharing. So after that, we wandered out into the streets again. We now missed our shuttle. And the plan was that we would take an Uber. And now we figured, well, we might as well get something to eat. We hadn't eaten that night.
We're hungry.
There was catering backstage. Rumor was that a few people may have become ill from eating the catering, so we did not. I did have some of the pizza that they delivered. But anyway, Rock Island was a good experience, I think. They have a nice organization. I would love to do it again. Key West is great. And for those of you who are wondering if you should go or not or things like that, the event starts at 5 o'clock every day. So you have a full day in Key West. You can go out on glass bottom boats. You can go jet skiing. You can go see Robert the Doll, go to the Hemingway House. There's a million other things to see. And it really is great. And so I think that's a great idea that they started at 5 so you have your day. It's like being on a cruise and you make new friends. And there's a row of hotels. And it's really nice. So at that point, me and Johnny wander out into the street with no purpose. And all of a sudden, this golf cart pulls up. It's the same guy.
Yeah, and I said, "Hey!" He turned around. He's like, "He just made a U-turn."
And he says, "Where are you guys going?" And we said, "Well, we need to get as close to the DoubleTree as we can." He said, "I'll take you."
Well, first we said we need to get something to eat.
Right, that's right. We wanted to go eat, and we offered to go Dutch, but pay for him. And so there was an outdoor stand. I mean, it's a hot dog cart, basically.
A cart, like a gypsy wagon.
Very gypsy.
Connected that was being pulled by a truck. So the
woman looked like she was going to try to work on the mummy curse or the wolf man in between making the food. But yes, her truck is attached to the food truck.
Yeah.
And she's out there in the street in front of a loud club where there's Bon Jovi music playing.
Yeah.
We pull up in our golf cart. We get out. A lot of fans recognizing Johnny. Very excited to meet him. They couldn't believe that a celebrity would be in the street looking for hot dogs in the middle of the night. They had a filet mignon, a gyro, And our friend who was driving, he ordered the filet mignon. That's because he knew we were paying.
Yeah, it was the last one too.
Last one. The woman told me to turn the sign around, and Johnny and I had cabalsa.
It was just ridiculous.
What a smart idea on our part in the middle of the night
Oh boy!
to have this gigantic cabalsa with it had a curve. It had a curve in it.
Onions and all kinds of stuff.
And then onions and all kinds of shit.
Oh,
and so we all sit in the golf cart and we're chowing down. Johnny's up front. It was at this point that I realized, well, our friend got out of the golf cart to get the food, that he was missing a leg. He had a
prosthetic.
He had a prosthetic, but it didn't look like a leg. It was like
it was just like a stand, like a tube with
and he had a shoe on it.
A shoe.
It looked kind of bionic.
Yeah, like this, like if you took away the skin.
If you took away the Terminator's skin,
right,
he probably looked like this.
That's right. I don't like to call it that. That might be not politically correct, but it was like a peg.
Well, he's probably watching right now, and because I subscribed from his phone. He was a nice gentleman.
He was great.
He told us a lot of stories. The golf cart only was going 25 miles an hour. So
now at this point we had just finished, and He said he'll actually take us back to our hotel. I'm like, it's kind of far.
It was at least 3 miles.
I don't mind. This thing runs on electricity. All right.
We were driving along, and suddenly we were down to 5% electricity. When the car hits 5% electricity, it also only goes 15 miles an hour. So here we are like the fucking Flintstones rolling down the street. You could have walked along, slide faster.
Cars flying by on the highway.
Flying by. And we never should have been on these roads on a highway.
Yeah, the golf cart. And I'm in the front with him. You're in the back filming. I got my bag and my guitar. And it was kind of getting cool out. The thing's bumpy. It was bizarre.
He took us to a second location. You never want to go to the second location, but we had no choice. We found a random hotel. We assumed that all the hotels had golf carts, charging stations. He went in and asked. He said it's around back. He disappeared for quite some time. We thought for sure that he was going to kill us, that either he was disappearing or he would come back like I know you did last summer. There was nobody out for miles. Johnny was somehow, sometimes when somebody hears a story about pain, they sometimes have sympathy pain. Johnny suddenly had a very bad limp that he walked with.
My hip was hurting. My
whole
leg.
You'll see the video, our driver with one leg, and then Johnny also with at least the same symptoms. So we go to the car, you plug it in, much like you plug in a transistor radio, and we sit there like jackasses. I had to pee so bad, and I don't like to pee in public. I'm not a fan of that. And it looked, and then our driver, he said, "Well, you just go piss in the bushes like I did." And I thought, then you have an iguana bite you on the pecker, And so, but I couldn't help myself, so I went and peed on the hotel, and the whole time I cursed Johnny Monaco for not getting an Uber.
Couldn't leave him. He was to offer to take us, so he was actually really nice, and he knew it. He had the right questions and answers, and he just seemed like a pretty logical.
We were invested at this point. We didn't want to leave this guy either. He was stranded. We should have left. But so Johnny and I found where the charging station was. This woman was no help, but we found it. We had to jump over things, and so then our gentleman friend told us about all the trips he used to take to Cuba, and Johnny's always looking to relocate. He asks people in the bar how much their rent is, how many gigs a week he thinks they think he would need to do. He then asked this guy, "Why don't we go to Cuba right now?" He explained the embargo to us several times. He told us about all these women that he was dating. And he asked us to do, we did like a shout out video for one of them, Johnny. And listen, a lot of people for this show ask us to do those. those cameo things are silly, for us, but for other people, they like it. So anyway, we did that, and it was very nice. And he showed us the pictures of these women. This man he's living for a guy with 3 legs. I mean, this guy is out and about, and I was shocked at some of the images, though. I was not what I expected, so I filmed it, and you'll see that too. But the night was going on and on and on. We had a very early flight, and it's now probably 2:33 in the morning. And if you've ever charged a golf cart, they don't charge fast. And we sat there, and then when it got to 15%, we said, I think this is enough for us to get there. We pulled out, 15 miles an hour again, and it was about to die another time. And we were trying to laugh, but it was getting miserable. It was a long fucking day. It's getting, like Johnny said, it's getting cool. We're on the water. The ocean's right next to you. Rafts are blowing over with hopefuls, And so he then just decides that he thinks we can make it to his hotel where he has a truck.
Which is right in line with all the other ones, but his would have been closer than going to ours.
Right. And so we stopped there. That took a while. We then got into his truck. Well, by the way, this is a strange person. We don't know this person.
Well, he told us the story about how he lost the leg, too.
Yes. I didn't pay a lot of attention. Now did. It was terrible. It was sad.
Very brutal.
And it was brutal. And this gentleman was an addict. And he's now a counselor, and he's got his stuff together, except he picks up, maybe he thought he was going to help us. Maybe wayward youth. Johnny was drunk. He probably thought the leg would scare Johnny sober.
He had a cooler in the back. I thought there was a head in there.
Or a kidney, yeah. It was
he used to be a drinker and a partier, and something happened, and some thugs pushed him down the stairs, and they followed him down, and they stomped on him and stomped his legs until they broke him, and then he got an infection later, and something didn't heal right, and they had to take the leg off.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was like for sure going to be some kind of shark story. But he's not even from Florida. He lives in another part of the state. He's in Ohio, I think. Ohio.
Yeah.
Sharks in Ohio.
It was odd. We got back to our hotel at 4 a.m.
I think it was later than that, actually.
Maybe the sun was going to be coming up very soon.
It took forever. He was really nice, though. He's a great guy. We said, we talked the whole time. He asked questions, and why didn't you just take an Uber? and just it showed us all his females, and he was driving off the road, showing us that. It was great. It was a very interesting night. I'm tired just thinking about it.
I'm exhausted thinking about it. And what's crazy, Johnny, is we have to end the show pretty soon because you and I, our big night out, we are going down to a place called Vamped. It's here in Las Vegas on Sahara. And Stephen Piercy is going to be jamming tonight.
Oh, yeah.
There's a band. Jeff Blando has a band. It used to be called Blandini. I don't know what he calls it now. It looks like it has a different name. The drummer is Will Hunt. His brother is Mike Hunt. But Will Hunt was in a band called Evanescence. And then he was in Slaughter for a little while. I will tell you, I've been on the phone with Dana Strum all day. I was on the phone with him yesterday as well. We are getting ready to go out this weekend, Stephen Piercy and Vince Neil. If you're in the area, come see it. Dana Strum is the bass player for Vince Neil, but he's also his guy. He runs that show. And he's very nice and very helpful. This many years in the business, it's amazing that Dana Strum is still so, hands-on with everything. So anyway, so tonight they're doing this jam, and Jesse James Dupree will be there. He's from the Jackal. And George Lynch will be there. He's from the Dokken. And Danny the Count Coker. He owns the place, and he's got a band, and they will be there as well. And Johnny and Stephen told me that there's a jam at the end of the night, and it seems like Johnny's going to be jamming tonight. It seems like they play a set, and at the end there's a big jam number. Johnny, he says we have to be there at 8:30 sharp. So we probably gonna have to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta get ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. But so anyway, that's the big night we're gonna have. After that horrible night, we woke up the next morning. Johnny didn't make it to lobby call. He was sleeping. I had to have the front desk arise him, and then we headed to the airport. From the airport, you can see the home of Robert the Doll, and I thought it's very close. Bad luck could start happening, and Scott Coogan took out Steven's lighter, and the lighter exploded. I've never seen a lighter explode
like a popper.
Like a popper, yeah.
It popped and it went, it flew out of his hand, and he looked over at him, and he looked at him, and it was weird. Right?
It was the beginning of really bad luck. Then Eddie Trunk arrived, and it went on from there. But and by the way, we'll see Eddie tonight. Eddie is hosting this soiree, and anyway, then we flew home. It felt like, Johnny, did it not feel like we were on the plane for 6 days?
Oh, it was rough, man. It was rough, and it didn't help with that. A cabin crew member. I think that's the political term now.
Yeah. There was a cunt on the plane that was very rude to Johnny about where to put his car.
She was ridiculous. That's okay though.
Hold on. Michael Perez is here, and I appreciate a super chat. Hi, Johnny. I saw a video on YouTube of you singing a song called "Afraid to Fly." It looks like you're on a TV show a few years back. Can you tell the background of this performance?
Yeah, it was a local. What do you call those things?
Public access?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was called Rock My Ass. That was the name of the show. And I think, remember Eric Donner played drums in Enough's Enough with me for a long time?
Yeah, from the Donner Party.
Yeah, I had a band, and he played drums, and that band was called Low Tech. And that was like kind of dance music, but like kind of industrial almost, with pop elements to it. So yeah, that's just a clip from that show. I can't watch that stuff, but
people enjoyed seeing Johnny play in the bathroom in Beaver Dam. If you're a fan of the show, you realize that the tour diary, last one up, was from Beaver Dam, Kentucky. Kix is in it, Bullet Boy, and Quiet Riot. We had a great time. Next week, you're going to see another trip. I don't remember which one, but every Monday they are coming out. And if you're not a Patreon, please go to the link and click on it. Sign up for Patreon. And tonight I will send you next week's episode. So you get to watch everything a week before everyone else. You get to watch it ad-free, and you get to help support the channel. And so anyway, that's Patreon, and that's tour diaries. Every Monday you'll see them remember these things were shot a year ago. When you watch the Kardashians or whatever TV show you watch, it's not live. It's filmed a year ago, and then they edited it up. And I don't have anyone working with me. I'm a one-man operation. And so anyway, you watch that every Monday, and then interviews will be coming back on Friday. So tonight we'll be at this party, and then Friday morning we will head to Tempe, Arizona.
Whoa.
Stephen Piercy and Vince Neil kickoff. And then Saturday we will be in Palm Springs, Coachella. Stephen Piercy, Vince Neil again. There will be a lot more Stephen Piercy, Vince Neil shows later this year. Can't say much about it. There are already dates, and there will be even more. This is your chance to see the voice of Rat and the voice of Motley Crue all in under one roof. And so that could be exciting. February 11th, Johnny and I will be heading to Houston, Texas. They're getting the Whataburger ready for you right now, Johnny.
Ugh, I was burping that up for 3 days.
And we're gonna be there for a Slaughter, which is also Vince Neil's band. Slaughter and Stephen Piercy at a place called Rise on the Rooftop, and it's we've been there before. It's a nice place. Everyone's good. They put us in a nice hotel because Dana insisted. I'll have you know that we're in a nice hotel, and so that's a lot of the things that are happening. I wish that we could sit here and go over all the notes that I had. I was going to talk about how I was watching Benny Hill the other night, but we just don't have time for all of that kind of conversation.
Someone asked about the Golden Robot Contest. Yeah, whatever happened to that?
Yeah, Golden Robot Contest. It's coming. You gotta wait. Yeah, gotta wait. You picked who you like, and I think the person you picked is the winner. I know who's winning. I'll say that right now. And so, but I had to take a break, and I didn't have time for all that.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, it's coming. Well, I keep these things very secret, Johnny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, spirit medium Daniel, Michelle loves to go to Tombstone, Arizona. She goes there all the time, and we've been talking about going back. It is a place in Arizona where they filmed the Tombstone movie, not just in Tombstone, but there's a studio, and they also filmed a TV show, a movie called The Three Amigos there, and I thought it'd be a fun place to visit, and so hopefully we'll be out your way. I hope you guys enjoy this. We really were reporting today, so I don't think we got into the hijinks that maybe some people would have liked, but I don't know, Johnny. What do you think? Was today a good show?
Yeah. I mean, we talked long on things, and we talked long on only a few things, whereas we could have probably hit more topics. But I mean, that's pretty much summed up. We went through what happened. We got up, we flew there, we had some stuff happen at
Somebody
the airport.
somebody asks if we could give them a hint about the winner of the contest. Yes,
We don't know.
No, I have it. I can give a hint. Eric Martin did not win.
Yeah, we talked about him. We talked
Mhm.
about the actual time at the venue. I mean, there was so much happening that you'd have to take like shorthand on everything and write it all on a board and look at I mean, it's too much. It's too much stuff.
We squeezed so much into whatever 48 hours. Yes, it was we got
I
a
think we
lot.
covered most everything. I mean, some other stuff might have happened, but I don't remember anything else terribly that went wrong or anything.
Or that we could share. I mean, there were certain things that maybe not our place to talk about,
Yeah.
but that happens occasionally too.
Yeah.
So let's
I don't
see.
know, it was Florida,
Uh, by the way, we met a lot of nice people who watched the show.
Oh yeah.
Some of them we could understand what they were saying. Some we
I
could
couldn't
not.
understand. Yeah.
But it's funny. I look at Johnny to translate when I can't. Sometimes people get excited to see, big stars like Johnny and I in the same room, and we're like Cheech and Chong. They want to see us together. I can tell you, people are disappointed if Johnny's not nearby, and then they always say that we look. Our height difference is so different in person. They expect us to be on little screens next to each other. But sometimes I can't understand what they're saying, and I look to Johnny to translate. Johnny has a bad reputation for being cranky. He's actually much nicer than me. Johnny takes time with everybody, and he's very nice. So okay, let's see here. We're gonna have to wrap it up in a second, though.
Yeah, I gotta get ready.
Yeah. Okay, folks, it's been great. Remember to tune in Monday for the new tour diary. Remember to sign up for Patreon. Remember to subscribe if you haven't done that. I don't know what you're doing. You have to subscribe. New interviews will begin again next week. Cherie Curry kicking it off, and a lot of, like I said, Brian Wheat's coming up, and a lot of other great people. Wednesday 13 when he gets back from his trip in Australia. All kinds of stuff. I like it when we don't have such a tight schedule. We can just sit here and talk all night. But this is not that night. So, Johnny, anything you want to say before we go?
I think you wrapped that up. I wish we could have remembered every little detail, but I thought it was fine. And, they're going to have to see it. There's a lot going on in the tour diary. Maybe that if we forgot anything, it's going to all be in there because you filmed the whole time. So,
Yeah. And, Johnny makes a good point. To see it drives the point home much more. It's easy to tell the story about being picked up by a man with one leg while hitchhiking. It's another thing to actually watch it. Yeah. And on that note, I will say thank you, everyone, and we will see you all very soon.
Okay. Bye.